Got this marl clay caked on my soul, makes a good man feel ancient and old. These old palmettos hold the truth, yeah, these Florida years, they wear on you. That sunset bleeding orange and red, I reckon that's my story instead. Yeah, this is the real Florida you see, it's all of my history living in me.
And somewhere out there, 8 women ended up dead. Hey, y'all, thanks for tuning in to another episode of DJ Southern Storytelling. Let's get right into it. The swamps around Jennings got a way of holding on to secrets. Thick black water. Mosquitoes buzzing loud enough to sound like power lines. Spanish moss hanging from them cypress trees like old funeral drapes. And at night, Lord have mercy. At night, them back roads can feel alive. If you ride long enough through Jefferson Parish, and eventually civilization just it just disappears behind you. Gas stations get sparse, porch lights fade out. The roads narrow down to cracked asphalt floating between canals and marsh grass. Now, before we get into the story too much, you got to understand something about Southwest Louisiana back in the early 2000s. Oil jobs, they were drying up. Meth and crack had sunk their claws deep into poor communities. Women trapped in addiction were surviving however they could. And in little towns like Jennings, everybody knew everybody, which meant everybody knew the rumors too. Rumors about deputies, rumors about drugs moving through the parish, rumors about confidential informants, rumors about certain people being untouchable. And then the bodies started showing up. Now, the first woman tied to what the media would eventually call the Jeff Davis 8 was Loretta Chasen. Now, Loretta disappeared in 2005. She struggled with addiction like many others in Jennings. Folks described her as somebody trying to survive in a town that'd chew you up quick if you slipped too far. And then her body was found near a canal. And around Jennings, canals ain't just scenery, folks. They everywhere. They run behind trailers. They cut through woods. They disappear into swamp water so dark it looks like crude oil. Now, when Loretta turned up dead, people talked about it for a little while. Then life moved on. But not for long. Because another woman disappeared. And then another. And then another. And one by one, women connected through poverty, drugs, and the streets started winding up dead around Jefferson Davis Parish. Ernestine Patterson, Whitney Dubois, Laconia Peanut Brown, Kristen Gary, Crystal Benoit, Brittany Gary, Haley Smith. 8 women in total, all dead between 2005 and 2009. Most of them were found dumped in isolated areas around Jennings. And fear started crawling through that parish like swamp fog. Now, outsiders looking in sometimes wrote these women off too quick. They were drug users. They were even sex workers. They had troubled lives. Families, they saw their daughters, mothers, sisters, even friends. And the thing that haunted Jennings wasn't just the murders. It was how connected everything seemed. These women often knew each other. They ran even in the same circles. Some say they worked as informants. Some reportedly knew dangerous people. The whisper spread fast that they were cleaning house. Now, the deeper this thing went, the uglier the rumors got, because people in Jennings started whispering that law enforcement corruption might somehow be tied into the darkness. Now, officially, there was never proof the deputies committed the murders. But Lord, the accusations, they just never stopped. Folks claimed evidence disappeared. Witnesses allegedly got intimidated. And certain names supposedly never got investigated hard enough. And when fear mixes with addiction and small-town politics, the truth gets muddy really fast. How in the hell do 8 women die in one parish without any answers? And the more cameras showed up, the more nervous people seemed to get. Some locals believe the killer was hiding in plain sight. Some believe deputies were compromised. Others, they thought the drug dealers held the entire town in fear. And some people believed everybody knew pieces of the truth, but nobody knew the whole damn thing. One of the eeriest things about Louisiana cases like this is the landscape itself. The swamp almost feels hungry. Sound gets swallowed out there. Bodies decompose fast in the heat and humidity. And water, it will move evidence. Animals, critters, they will scatter remains. At nighttime, and the bayou carries this oppressive silence that will make your skin crawl. You can stand near them canals after dark and hear frogs croaking, insects screaming, water moving slow through the grass. Suddenly, every shadow starts looking human. Investigators, they chased countless leads. Drug angles, serial killer theories, corruption allegations, personal revenge. But hey, the deeper they dug, the messier everything became. Because almost everybody connected to the case had overlapping secrets. Informants knew the dealers. Dealers knew deputies. Witnesses feared retaliation. And addiction blurred timelines and memories. Now, there were claims that some women had threatened to expose people. Claims that others saw things they shouldn't have seen. Claims that witnesses changed stories after being intimidated and getting scared. And through it all, families kept burying their daughters. One particularly heartbreaking thing about this story is how young some of these women were. Lives already hard before addiction ever entered the picture. Some of them had children. Some wanted out. Some reportedly talked about leaving Jennings completely. But hey, in the South, small towns got gravity to them, especially the poor ones. Sometimes people feel trapped, kind of like crabs in a bucket. As years passed, no clear resolution ever came. They formed task forces. Investigators changed. Media attention faded in, faded out. But the Jeff Davis 8 never really disappeared from Louisiana folklore, because cases like this become ghost stories in the South. Not campfire ghost stories, but real ones. The kind where people lower their voice when certain names get mentioned. The kind where old locals say, "Don't go down that road at night." And maybe the darkest part of all is the possibility that fear itself protected the truth. Because if people truly believe dangerous individuals have power, Jennings, then their silence becomes their survival. And that's how terror works in small towns. Nobody wants to be the next obituary. Even today, families of the victims, they still push for answers. They still do interviews. They still ask many, many questions. Still wonder who left their daughters in the canals and roadside ditches, kind of like trash. And no matter what theories people believe, one fact remains undeniable. 8 women died violently around Jennings within just a few years. Folks, that ain't coincidence. That's pure evil. Now, some investigators believe multiple killers may explain inconsistencies between the cases. Others still lean toward one organized network or a predator. And plenty of locals remain convinced corruption somewhere in the system prevented the truth from fully surfacing. But officially, the mystery remains largely unsolved. And that's what makes the Jeff Davis 8 one of the most haunting Southern crime stories ever told. Not because of one monster hiding in shadows, but because the entire frickin' town itself started feeling haunted. Haunted by addiction, haunted by poverty, haunted by secrets, haunted by fear. Tonight, y'all, them canals around Jennings still reflect moonlight the same way they did back then. And the swamp still breathes. The roads still disappear into darkness. And somewhere, Jefferson Davis Parish, families still wait for somebody to finally tell them the truth. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. God bless.